Let's take a break from the action. Taking a break is brought to you by our good friends up at Banks Boats. What is taking a break? I guess I'd have to say it's everything else that I enjoy about our sport of waterfowl. It's all about the ducks, the dogs, and the decoys. Let's check it out.
All right, what we're going to do here is we're going to show you how to draw knife a standard canvas back head, which you just have your pattern, lay it on the board, cut it out very basic on the bandsaw to about this stage. I 45 the edges and try to get things all around. And then the way we do it here, stick them in a vise, take a small draw knife, which is actually homemade, and go from there.
Vernon, how long have you been carving?
40 years. Started when I was 10 when my grandfather gave me a bunch of old decoys and I started fixing and repairing them, and it's been my job for the last 17 years. But I've done shows for...
It's not gunning season, you're making decoys, or are you crabbing some?
We crab in the summertime. We make decoys about 9 months out of the year, basically. And we crab pot up the bay here in the summertime, and about the time the crabs really get coming on good in September, we got to go back to work making decoys. But decoys is my main livelihood. All this draw knifing does is it gets so much excess out of the way.
Vernon, where are we at?
Perryville, Maryland, right up the head of the Susquehanna Flats. About as far up the Chesapeake Bay as you can go before you run out of water. But that's about as far as we're going to go on this, and we'll move over to the sanders, and it's only about a 5-7 minute process. It don't take too long to get a head done, and the finished product should end up something like that there. All right, now we're all rough sanded up, gets all the edges out of the way, gets things knocked off, and just makes it a lot quicker and easier. Drawing the gill line on, which I do it the old way, the way the old guys did it is backwards for the fancier carvers, but this is the way it was always done by the old timers, and all the hunting decoy guys still do it the same way. Well, that's about as far as that goes with a knife, which again, our decoys aren't real fancy. They're respectable, and they're gunning style decoys, and you don't want to make them real awful fancy because you kind of throw them around the boat and bang them up, and then you take people that generally shoot a few of them. So we just make a standard decoy that we're proud of, and it keeps our tradition going here on the flats. This is a standard canvas back pattern with a shelf, and it will have a flat paddle tail. It's off my lathe. Cecil County bodies are all flat-tailed. They're paddle-tailed. They're not upswept like Madison Mitchell's, for instance, have the upswept tail. It was easy for the lathe to run. What I do is I make mine round and then cut them flat. Cecil County ducks, Heverons, Grahams, Algards, Lockards, they were all flat paddle-tailed, and all the Cecil County guys make them flat paddle-tailed. The Havre de Grace guys follow Mr. Mitchell's patterns, which are great patterns. They're just a little different. So what we do is, from a square block of wood to this off the lathe takes about 4 or 5 minutes. And then we sit down on the bench and spoke shave the marks out. What the spoke shaver does, it's an old tool. It just gets the ridges out from the lathe. Makes it a lot easier to sand if you don't have those ridges. Then from here, we'll go to the bandsaw, cut the knob off the front, and cut the tail on. Then you're ready to sand. There's the so-called paddle tail that's standard for Cecil County canvasbacks, which has been done that way since the 1700s. My ducks do have a shelf, which is different from a lot of the Harvard Grace patterns, and it's just because I like a shelf to mount my head on. A lot of the Upper Bay ducks had them. Actually, Daddy Holly's had shelves too, some of them. But you go from there to the sander, and then you nail the head on, and then you start your priming and your puttying, and that's basically what you should end up with, a flat-tailed Susquehanna Flats canvasback.
That was Taking a Break. Let's get back to the action.